Hello, this is me again, Mara. I hope I'm not worrying you. I'm really excited, as I said before, to work with you. So in this video, what I'm going to explain to you is basically about the levels and why is the purpose of our lessons and why the lessons are this way. So first of all, I want to tell you about my background. I'm from Argentina, Buenos Aires. I actually hated to study English. This is why I started making and I wanted really to move to another country. So this is why I studied, having the need to really become bilingual, even though I have been studying like since I was 9 because my parents sent me, but I never had like a really positive connection to it until I started making friends in Argentina and going to Spanglish, to going to events, and there's how I could say, okay, so it's very important to learn a language, to learn positive experiences, to meet people and native speakers. This is what I do my events that I host right now twice a month, but I'm trying to expand that. I have 1,000 members in meetup.com, so as I show in the previous video. So, and the thing that I also mention is about why I decided to start this business, study Spanish. I studied business administration in Argentina, so I always wanted to own a business since I was 17 years old, and I tried to figure out what I was going to do with my life, but I didn't know in what. So when I went to work in Atlanta, I started teaching informally to some girls, and I realized that I have some talent with it because I didn't even knew how to do it, but I just read some books and I figured out, and they became bilingual, these people. So when I came back to my country after living in Atlanta and teaching in there, I took the certification to become a teacher and actually learned one of the latest methodologies in teaching Spanish as a second language, which I don't know if you know. Cervantes is a non-profit organization, which actually what they do is they always are dedicated, the Spanish government dedicate part of their budget to actually pay these doctorate people with a lot of years of experience on figuring out new ways of teach, and according to the new society. It's not the same to teach, in the war, during the war, in the Second World War, than to teach, right now with the new technology nowadays that is going on, right? So that's what the job is. And so they issue the rights through institutions, in my case was the International House, to teach this new methodology, because Spain is very proud of the language, and actually they wanted to expand it through their culture, through Latin American countries or from Spain too. So long story short, this is why it's very important, our 360 method of teaching, connecting this to something positive and at the same time also giving this new methodologies. Of course, what I learned was just a reference and just the structure, but all the content I did it myself. So the European Common Frame of Network, which is el Marco de Referencia Europeo, is a reference of levels. So all the European languages levels, of course, in this case that we have now going on is Spanish. So what I'm doing, what I did is follow this reference that I'm going to show you right now, and actually applied in my school. So you have here, you see all the different levels in Spanish. This is from the European Common Frame of Network, and then each school can actually put their own methodology and their own levels if they want to. So in my case, I did 2 breaks in each of them, which this represents. So you have A, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So you have A1, A2, and then you have B1, B2. This is part of the European Common Frame of Network, Marco Referencia Europeo, C1, C2, advanced and fluent mastery proficiency. So here you have A1. Basically, what is A1? A is a beginner level. So we basically, I'm going to explain to you all the levels in general if they actually ask you, what the students, what is it about. And actually this is very important to say in the free trial as well, or in the future I will say, just say in the video. But it's very important that they understand that A is within your comfort zone. B, out of your comfort zone, and C is fluent. So A, why within your comfort zone? Because you should be able to talk, as you will see in there, you should be able to talk about things that you did in the past, things that you're doing in the present, things that you're going to do. And so things that you already know, you don't have to think twice. You already know what is it about. But for example, out of your comfort zone, which be intermediate, is they ask you, for example, what do you think about abortion? Or what do you think about the economy of your country? What do you think about, how do you meet your +1? Or how do you decide you want to start a career? Things that you have to think in your native tongue, and of course, when you're learning, you have to. So that's what it helps you to develop the better the language. And then fluent is directly when you don't have to think about, like me right now, I think in English or I think in Spanish. I don't have to do that translation. That's when it happens. In intermediate, you're still thinking a little bit when you're trying to speak, but in fluent is you already don't have to think about it anymore, and you just make a switch. So that's what fluent is about. So what I wanted to explain to you better now, and excuse me here, so you see, so better the level. So in A1, so this is about 6 weeks, 2 hours each during the evenings, generally 7 to 9 p.m. So the objective in A1.1 is introducing yourself, talk about what I'm gonna be in detail in our next video. I'm gonna go in detail in each class what you're going to see and what you're going to do, but it's introducing yourself, talk about what you have been doing lately, which is present progressive. In English is I am talking. Then talk about activities that you do regular, so basically present tense. So this is what is A1.1 about. Then A1.2 is talk about the past. Actually the past, believe it or not, takes 6 classes, and in the one of the last one we see direct objects and indirect object, which is their pronouns. It's like saying I want to talk about it. When you have to shorten up the sentences, is quiero escribirlo, o quiero que se lo des. So is in Spanish, it's like shortening up. That's what is the last part, but mainly is the past. But you see, all of this is within the comfort zone, and the foundation of the language is very heavy, is grammar. But since we're going to do the guided discovery I talked to you about, that will be activities for them to reach to a conclusion, it should be fun and not boring. So in the second part here, where you have in A2, what is the job about A2? A2, I'm gonna come back here. So the job of A2 is, A1 is clear, it's the breakthrough beginner. It's just breaking through it, saying hola, hello, how are you, and then saying the basic stuff, right? It's just getting through that step, saying like breaking the ice. A2, which is the advanced beginner, is getting more fluent. So imagine you have to become intermediate. So it's the intermediate. So we see a lot of fluency. Okay, we start building more fluency, and even though there's not so much grammar, there's some grammar, what I call adjusting grammar, like some grammar and some details that are important to know. At least in Spanish, if you understand, it will be the difference between ser y estar, or the para y por, or be maybe the difference of some expressions, or the use of full start that is different than the present, the use of some verbs that are different than the regular verbs. So some verbs that are treated differently, some details in grammar, but not everything. So that's what you see in A2, that and improving the fluency. So basically, besides being comfortable talking, you have to tell your students in A1, you should be able, if someone to speak you slowly, you should be able to answer back and within your comfort zone. What you did in A2 is improving that fluency, improving that listening skills, doing your activities outside, and also adjusting a little bit some things on grammar. So that's what you basically see in A2. And so to be more in detail, let me show to you A2 in this Microsoft Word. So A2, you see, you should be able to describe people. So you're not only going to be able to introduce yourself and talk about the past or what you're going to do next weekend, but also say, hey, this is my family, this is how they're distributed, I want to introduce to my friends. And then you should be able to talk about verbs that you're things that you're interesting, start giving some opinion, about things about a movie, about what you sing, and of course improving the fluency. So here you see the difference between ser y estar, adjusting some grammar, describing your family. And then 2.2 is asking some favors, give excuses. Present perfect, for those that they don't know, is have gone, have done, and in prepositions. Start linking in your sentences and becoming, again, more fluent. As there's a lot of speaking, it has to be a lot of speaking in A2, because remember that is reaching what? Is reaching to actually intermediate. So and then in the intermediate level is when you get out of your comfort zone. So they ask you, and so in B1.1, I'm gonna come back then to the Microsoft Word here. So in B1.1, you start talking about different expressions, subtle difference on expressions, because you're becoming towards more advanced, remember. So giving suggestions, recommendations, and give complex explanations and opinions. You should be able to see your opinion and out of your comfort zone. What is the economy of the US? And a complex, how do you meet your past one? But be able to tell in a story with more detail. So this is why you see here, of course, pretérito perfect versus imperfect, like I was running and I ran, the difference between those two, which in Spanish is pretérito perfecto versus imperfecto, which, believe it or not, takes like about 4 classes. And also imperative should be able to give instructions. Also give imperative, you not only is you give orders, also instructions and suggestions. So you should be able to give a suggestion to a friend. Then when you become to be 1.2, here is where you're ready to be able to express feelings, regrets, and also giving hypotheses and giving complex justifications. So you should be able to give one more step and give an extra mile in here, in where you have, I'm coming back, sorry. So where you have these express your feelings, your emotions, and react to a situation. B2, I'm gonna go later. Right now, I'm gonna reach until intermediate. Most of the people don't get to B2. In B2, you'll see even more. Imagine you had to get to fluent back then. So in B2, you'll see more the subjunctive. I don't know if you already see, but the complex subjunctive of things you have really want done, would have been nice, I could have done, and reach into more in depth of that. But for now, let's do just until intermediate. So what I'm going to explain to you now is how you determine a level of someone. So literally, this is for Spanish. Teaching Spanish will be when you start asking someone, this is how you do it. I need you to take notes right now. So the first thing that you say is hola, ¿cómo te llamas? So I'm going to explain to you when I finish in what step I'm reaching in a 1.2. So remember, it's how to introduce yourself. So ask them, hola, ¿cómo te llamas? ¿De dónde eres? ¿De qué parte? ¿En dónde vives? ¿En qué parte vives? ¿En qué trabajas? And stop there. So that's one, is they know how to introduce themselves. If they know that, if they understood you, you move on. Then you say, okay, what is the next one? Then and they should be able to say what you have been doing lately. So, ¿qué estás haciendo últimamente? And the answer should be maybe, or giving them better explanation what you mean by that, what you have been doing lately, because generally they explain you the past. You say, no, you should just say, estoy trabajando más, estoy durmiendo menos, estoy comiendo más, estoy yendo al gimnasio, estoy tomando clases de español, something to catch up. That's, they know present progressive. If they pass that level, then you go to present tense. Then, ¿qué haces regularmente? What you do regularly? You can tell them, well, ¿te gusta? Not with gustar necessarily. Ask them, ¿tienes un perro? ¿Tienes familia? ¿Cuántas familia tienes? ¿En dónde vive tu familia? ¿En dónde viven tus hermanos? So you can check, if they know present tense, And then, of course, ask them what they're going to do in the future. So they say, ¿qué vas a hacer el fin de semana próximo? So they should be able to, you can tell them, like, look, I'm asking you this question just to get to know your level. No, I mean, it's not because I'm being curious. So, ¿qué vas a hacer el fin de semana próximo? El fin de semana que viene, yo voy a ir de compras, voy a ir al cine, voy a salir con mi novio, voy a hacer esto. So that's why they know the future. So they know the present, they know how to introduce themselves, they know the present progressive, they know the future, they know the present tense, so they are in a 1.1. Continue. Let's see if they see the past. If they know the past, maybe they're in a 1.2. So, ¿qué hiciste el fin de semana pasado? El fin de semana pasado yo fui al cine, hice las compras y caminé mucho, you know. Then of course you can come back to me, then you're gonna get better at this, but you can come back to me and say, hey, I think they know the past, but they need to refresh, so they may need to start in a 1.2 and not in a 2. But oh well, let's say they know the past, then they know a 1. They know they are beginners already. Then what I do generally to see if they're in, because A2 is actually hard to tell, so you first check if they're intermediate. If they're intermediate, you know what is the key question is, ¿qué hacías cuando eras niña? So yo caminaba en el parque, cantaba, solía correr. So you know if they know the present and imperfect. That's how you know if they are in, you know, the intermediate. If they start talking about it, but they may get confused and they get very stuck and be able to express themselves, then they are in A2. Okay, and so, but if they know pretty well already the imperfect, then they're intermediate, because generally they make a lot of mistakes when they're intermediate and about the pretty imperfect. But even if they give a great explanation about the imperfect, they say, yo cuando era niña o conocí de esta manera a mi novio porque íbamos a la universidad juntos y después salimos, y te dan, okay then. So they might be a little more advanced, then let me know. They might be B1.2. So if they are more advanced, then tell them about their feelings, that they talk about their feelings. If they have very well done the imperfect, right? If they have very well done imperfect, then start asking about suggestions. ¿Qué me sugieres que estoy cansada? ¿Qué me sugieres que haga? Dime, por ejemplo, toma un café o vete a dormir una siesta. Entonces, that's why how you know that you know the imperfect. That they know the imperative. And then if they say that correctly, then ask them what they hope for this year. Por ejemplo, ¿qué esperas que pase este año? Espero que tenga, okay. ¿Y qué me deseas porque me acabo de casar? Ojalá que te seas muy feliz. So you know they know the present subjunctive. Then if they know the preterite subjunctive, then you ask them, ¿qué te gustaría tener que no tienes ahora? Por ejemplo, te doy un ejemplo, le dices, ojalá tuviera dinero y ahora no tengo. Ojalá tuviera otro trabajo. Entonces you ask them that. And then if they actually answer you that correctly, then they are in B2. And then you would have to talk about it. And then you have to let me know. They're in C and more advanced. In those levels, I really recommend more private, because it's difficult to match someone, you know, in those levels. If it's intermediate, I can get someone, you know, together, but when it comes B2 or more advanced, it's hard to find people that are in that level, to be honest. And we're a very small school for now, so it's difficult to gather all these things together. There are so few people that get to be, most of them are beginners or advanced beginners or maybe intermediate, but B2 or C fluent is hard to find. So this is now for this video for today. I hope I didn't bore you, but this is very important to give them the free trial and how you actually test, you know, their level. So in the next video, what I'm going to be doing is going class by class, how we actually give the classes that are in Dropbox, how we move on with that. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope to see you soon